Hey, what is going on, my friends, and welcome back to another video on the channel. In today's video, we are doing our very first video on the Ask Me Anything series, which is a series in which you send me in questions either on here through the comment sections, through my Instagram, my Twitter, my Snapchat, anything like that, and I will answer them for a video if it is a really good question. Well, in today's video, the question comes from Israel, and it says, "Hey Tyler, I wanted to start this off by saying I really appreciate your videos on HCMC and wanted to ask you a question for your series. I'm seeing a lot of talk around stock twits and YouTube about the growing short interest in HCMC. Why do you think this is happening, and could this be a short squeeze like AMC and GME? Thank you for your time and keep up the great work, Israel." Israel, I really do appreciate the question. If you guys do have your own questions that you want me to answer and maybe in one of these videos, definitely send it to me on my socials, which are linked in the description below. But whenever it does come to this one, I really do like this question because I have been seeing as well a lot of information and a lot of people talking about a potential short squeeze coming for HCMC, and I wanted to kind of give my opinion on it because I do think some people are blowing it out of proportion, and I think that we need to be a little bit realistic about this, and so here we go. So whenever it comes to HCMC, we have been seeing the short volume increase dramatically. As you can see from your screen here, it has just been absolutely off the charts, and this was all the way back in March, and I'm assuming that it has been increasing even further since then. So overall, we have been seeing this thing really climb. And of course, whenever there's such a high short volume, there is potential for a short squeeze. Now, the reason number one why I believe it won't be as big as GameStop is due to the fact of convenience and the household names. GameStop and AMC are household names. They're names that everyone pretty much knows. I mean, growing up, I was always at GameStop. I was always at AMC theaters. And so with that being said, whenever you hear, oh, GameStop stock, it automatically triggers these emotions within you where it's recognition. You recognize what those are. And so you might not understand the stock market. But if people are saying, yo, go buy GameStop stock, there's a short squeeze, whatever that is going on, and it's absolutely going through the roof, it creates this sense of, oh, I'm familiar with GameStop, so I might be familiar with their stock. And that's one reason why we saw so many people around the world who know nothing about the stock market at all easily just download Robinhood and buy GameStop stock without much limitation. I mean, it's a very simple process. Now, the reason I believe this is difficult for HCMC is due to the fact that it is a lot more inconvenient in order to get in, say, if they were to win a lawsuit. And all of this is revolved around if they win this lawsuit. I don't believe there'd be a short squeeze realistically without a win. Now, the reason I say that, when you think about HCMC, no one, unless you live in Florida, or if you live in an area in which you know a lot about these different products in which they offer, you're not really going to know what Healthier Choices Management Corp is. Now, so immediately, whenever you start to think about it, it's going to be a lot harder for the name HCMC or Healthier Choices Management Corp to circulate the globe and all through social media and through schools and jobs and restaurants as GameStop and AMC would. It's simply not the same. And then whenever it comes to the overall convenience of purchasing the stock itself, it is much more difficult whenever it comes to downloading Fidelity or one of your OTC market brokers. Figuring out exactly how in the world to buy these things, it's a lot more confusing than Robinhood. You have to figure out what a limit order is or what a market order is. You have to set a limit price. There's just so many other limitations that stop you from just being able to easily click about 20 buttons total from the moment you get on your phone to the moment you buy shares in GameStop, right? So whenever it comes to that, that's reason number one is I don't believe it is going to have that same momentum in the sense that it's not going to gain that popularity that GameStop has amongst those hyped investors or amongst those people who have no idea what the stock market is, but they figured out a way to download Robinhood. I don't believe that it's going to see that same hype. And so with that being said, realistically, there's going to be a lot of hype within the community of people who actually know about investing or about day trading or about penny stocks. That community of people, I think there is potential to see a smaller short squeeze happen because people like me, people like you, if you're watching, people, the ones who actually follow HCMC are going to recognize it, understand this market, and we will be capable of starting our positions or growing it or being a part of the short squeeze itself. So when it comes to that, I don't believe it'd be the same size due to the fact of a lack of recognition and a lack of hype. The second reason kind of stems off of that one. And the reason why I believe, the second reason why I believe it wouldn't be so big is due to so many people getting absolutely burned in the GameStop and AMC short squeeze. The amount of people who have no idea what's going on Robinhood or what's going on in the stock market. No one even knows, couldn't even tell you what a penny stock is or why it's called a penny stock. Those type of people, a lot of them got absolutely smashed in the last short squeeze that we saw back a few months ago. Now, the reason why I think that this is going to be an important factor is due to the fact that a lot of them aren't going to try again. right? We have to consider the fact that if they were able to simply get on Robinhood, buy this app, deposit $100, buy a few shares of GameStop whenever it was up maybe $400 or $500, and now that it's kind of tanked from that point, they've lost a lot of money. Well, realistically, do you think that they would actually figure out a way to get on Fidelity or again, another OTC market broker, figure out how in the world to buy it, educate themselves on what a limit order is, what a market order is, what these different trailing stop losses, and all these things in which you might have to apply in order to even buy the stock in general? And then educate themselves on what in the world is HCMC? Why is everyone talking about it? And then try their luck at making some money if they got burned so hard on a very easy one like GameStop. Probably not. That's just my opinion. That's just why I believe that it would be a lot harder, is because not only is there a lack of recognition, as we previously talked about, the overall convenience of this is much more difficult. And so again, if they lost so much money, a lot of these people lost a lot of money when it comes to GameStop or AMC, and that was easy for them to do, they're not going to test their luck on something that's a lot harder. And so that's number two. And that's the second reason, kind of blends in with the first reason as to why I just simply don't believe that it would be as big as we saw with GameStop. And if it's not as big, if there's not as much hype, if there's not as much volume, then it is going to be much harder to push the stock price up to squeeze out some of those shorts, which would then make the stock price go even further. So all of these things need to line up, and I just don't believe that it has that same immense, amount of people who would be able to push it up. Now, again, I do believe that there is possibility of a short squeeze. I do believe if they win this lawsuit, there will be a short squeeze. But for the drastic and dramatic amount that we saw for GameStop and AMC, I just simply don't see it. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is the fact that I do believe that there is potential for a short squeeze, but I think it is going to be a lot smaller, and the time of it is going to last a lot shorter. Now, the reason I believe this is because with this one, it differs from GameStop and AMC. Realistically, GameStop and AMC had no real reason as to why the stock price was climbing other than the short squeeze itself. There was no more value added to the company. No type of event happened where a lot more value got added to the company as some type of acquisition, or we see with SPACs where a SPAC will just happen, they go through the merger, and then we see the stock price climb. No, GameStop really didn't have any reason other than the short squeeze and all of the hype. Well, that's not the case with HCMC. HCMC's initial climb is going to come from news, rumors, or any type of confirmation that they win the lawsuit. Now, the problem with that is there's going to be a specific amount of value added to HCMC after this lawsuit is complete, whether that be a settlement, whether it be royalties, and that is a statistical foundation. There's going to be some type of quantity associated with that settlement or that royalty agreement that is going to then add value to HCMC, and I believe that that value is going to act as a limit or some type of resistance as to how far this thing can grow, due to the fact that we're not going to, it could, but realistically, it's not going to maintain levels of growing in hundreds of millions of dollars in market cap after maybe some type of agreement that only brings in $100 million in valuation to the company. Now, I do believe that a settlement would be in the billions, but just for hypothetical reasonings, I do believe that due to the fact that this short squeeze, in a sense, would be triggered off of news that can be associated with a statistical quantity, I think that acts as a limit to how far exactly this thing will run other than the hype. Now, I do believe that hype could create an unrealistic amount of growth. I think that it could grow maybe, who honestly knows how far it could go, but realistically, I believe that in the midterm, it comes back down from that point, and the amount or the value added from the settlement itself would act as a barrier to how far it can maintain growth. And so that's why, it's just a few reasons as to my answer as to why I just simply don't believe it would be as big as GameStop. I think that was just a lot of hype. There's so many new investors, people looking for money, but now that it's kind of over, the hype behind short squeezes within general society has died down a bit. No one's really talking about it on the news, and I just can't imagine that we would see that same growth. I think we have to be careful when browsing through Reddit, Wall Street Bets, or Stock Twits whenever people say things like this will be bigger than GameStop, because realistically, they're acting off the emotions of their investments, and that can lead to some very dramatic claims. I love HCMC. I do believe that if they win this lawsuit, there is going to be a short squeeze due to the fact that the short volume is so high, but so many people, over 90,000 people following them on Stock Twits, all of these different people are going to see it, and I think that they are going to know. We all know if there's a win, that this stock price is going to shoot for a short amount of time, in my opinion. And I think with that being said, that will squeeze a lot of these shorters out of their positions, which would, of course, generate a smaller short squeeze. That's my opinion. That's where I think it lays from here, and I'm not too sure about how far it goes, but I am expecting growth in the future, and I will update you all on any trades that I make on them based off of, potential short squeeze potential or anything like that. I hope you guys did enjoy today's video. Again, I hope you guys do like the new background, and I can't wait to see you all in the next video on the Ask Me Anything series. Peace.